DNB Direct for SAP Ariba Supplier Risk is a simple, quick solution for integrating Dun & Bradstreet predictive financial risk indicators into SAP Ariba Supplier Risk's Scorecard function. This demonstration first covers the three-step setup process, including 1. Activation of DNB Direct, 2. Configuration of the financial risk scorecard, and 3. Enrichment of supplier records with Dun & Bradstreet data. We then show how the Dun & Bradstreet data is integrated and displayed within SAP Ariba Supplier Risk. After login, a dashboard appears summarizing the supplier portfolio risk profile across the 4 scorecard risk categories: regulatory and legal, environmental and social, financial, and operational. Once activated, the Dun & Bradstreet data will impact the financial category. To activate the Dun & Bradstreet data, click the gear icon near the upper right-hand corner of the page. Clicking the gear icon opens the Supplier Risk Administration page. This page includes options to activate DNB Direct and to configure the financial scorecard that the Dun & Bradstreet data impacts. Click on Content and Service Providers in the left-hand navigation to activate DNB Direct. The Content and Service Providers page lists all the third-party content providers available through SAP Ariba Supplier Risk. Content from the default providers listed at the top of the page is integrated in the application as a standard feature. Scroll down from this listing to see the list of optional content providers. The Dun & Bradstreet data is already activated in this demo instance. Dun & Bradstreet is therefore listed as an active third-party provider. When not activated, Dun & Bradstreet appears in the list of available providers. Click on the Dun & Bradstreet logo to learn more about the data and to see how it can be activated. The Dun & Bradstreet listing includes a brief overview of our company, as well as a full description of the Dun & Bradstreet data available within SAP Ariba Supplier Risk. Scroll down to view the Settings portion of the page. The Settings area is where the activation step is completed. Input your DNB Direct Plus username and password to perform this step. These credentials are issued via email to DNB Direct Plus subscribers. With the Dun & Bradstreet data activated, scroll back up to complete Step 2, Scorecard Configuration. Click on the Configure Risk Exposure option in the left-hand Supplier Risk Administration navigation bar to configure your scorecard. Many aspects of the scorecard are configurable, such as the weights assigned to each risk category within the overall risk exposure. You can also configure the data providers that provide risk factors and the treatment of the individual risk factors within the risk categories. Scroll down within the Field Configurations tab to the Licensed Fields area to configure the Dun & Bradstreet scorecard treatment. Note that there are 5 Dun & Bradstreet predictive risk indicators that can impact the scorecard: SIR, SSI, DNB rating, DNB PAYDEX, and financial stress score. The relative impact of each predictive risk indicator on the financial risk category can be adjusted by selecting a value from the weight pick list. After assigning weights to the Dun & Bradstreet scorecard factors, the second setup step, Scorecard Configuration, is complete. The final setup step is to enrich suppliers with the Dun & Bradstreet predictive risk indicators. Scroll back up to the top of the Field Configurations tab. Next, click on Supplier Risk in the top left-hand navigation to return to the dashboard view. From the dashboard, retrieve a set of suppliers using the search box in the upper left. For this demonstration, we have a small supplier portfolio. We will retrieve the entire list by clicking on the magnifying glass icon without entering search criteria. From the resulting list, choose suppliers for which Dun & Bradstreet predictive risk indicators are needed. Then submit them for evaluation using the button at the bottom of the list. At this point, SAP Ariba Supplier Risk will enrich the supplier records submitted for evaluation with the Dun & Bradstreet data through one of 2 methods. If the supplier records in question already included Dun & Bradstreet DUNS numbers, our recommended best practice, enrichment will proceed using those DUNS numbers. If not, Dun & Bradstreet Identity Resolution will use the supplier name and address information to assign a DUNS number. Finish the enrichment step by submitting suppliers for evaluation. Then, scroll back to the top of the supplier list and click on the Supplier Risk tab in the upper left to return to the dashboard view. Having activated DNB Direct, configured the financial risk scorecard, and enriched supplier records with Dun & Bradstreet data, we will now demonstrate how the integrated Dun & Bradstreet data can be viewed within SAP Ariba Supplier Risk. Scroll to the bottom of the dashboard below the world map graphic where the individual suppliers are listed. Clicking on an individual supplier's name opens the corresponding risk exposure record. The first graphic displayed shows a trend line for overall risk exposure as well as for each risk category. Click on the Financial Risk tab to view the risk category in detail, including the Dun & Bradstreet data we activated earlier. A graphic similar to the overall risk exposure appears, but this graphic is specifically focused on the financial risk category. The gray box to the right shows the 5 Dun & Bradstreet predictive risk indicators that potentially impact the financial risk exposure, based on the scorecard configuration we covered earlier. The values for each predictive risk indicator come from Dun & Bradstreet. They are updated automatically by SAP Ariba Supplier Risk using the DNB Direct monitoring function. The presentation of the Dun & Bradstreet scores is controlled by SAP Ariba Supplier Risk and shaped by the scorecard configuration settings. The line graph showing trend lines for Dun & Bradstreet predictive indicators displays one at a time. The graph can be changed using the score type pick list. Scroll down slightly to reveal the additional risk information. This display includes metadata that puts the Dun & Bradstreet predictive risk indicators in context and assists with their interpretation. The display includes commentary that elaborates on why the predictive indicators reflect the values they do for the company in question. The scorecard factors in the gray box and the metadata from the additional risk information display constitute all the Dun & Bradstreet data that is part of this integration. Scroll back to the top of the financial risk display. Click on Supplier Risk in the top left to return to the dashboard. Note that the supplier records enriched with Dun & Bradstreet data contribute to the summary view of the financial risk category. They are also reflected in the overall risk summary graphic. By implementing the 3-step setup process explained earlier in this demonstration, we've established both a detailed supplier-level view of financial risk and an enhanced view of risk exposure across the entire supplier portfolio. This concludes our demonstration of DNB Direct for SAP Ariba Supplier Risk. Thank you for your interest. Please contact your Dun & Bradstreet sales representative for more information.